I'm Dara. Hello, everyone. I'm Dara Bunjon. I am the food enthusiast here at J Moore Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Yet Jem, my producer, has been watching my baking posts and says I need to take that out of the title. It is good to be back after 2 weeks of not being on the air. Hope that your holidays were great. And hopefully, you amused yourself in our show archives, visiting our cross section of food related guests. And believe me, it is quite diverse. Today's guest, a Baltimore native, Chad Gauss, has risen through culinary ranks to executive chef at City Cafe, and from there, opening his own restaurant, the Food Market, in the ever thriving Hamden neighborhood in 2012. Just making sure the date. Never idle for food concepts, Gauss has created Hoopla Catering, a second, the Food Market located in Columbia, Maryland, the Hall CP in College Park, the seasonal quality Snowballs in Hamden, and also partnered in Food Marketa in Pikesville. One can attribute his success to his concept, an up to par and down to earth experience, the Chef Gauss' value driven comfort food. His success didn't go unnoticed when he was asked to create a Maryland themed dinner at the James Beard House. Good afternoon, Chad, and what's on your plate today?
Not as much as you. You have a big list of great things behind you with all your titles. I'm just simply a family man and chef, and just happy to be here talking to you today after the years of friendship.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. I have a lot of fun questions for you and maybe some serious ones.
Okay.
Um, when and where were you when you had, like in The Wizard of Oz, you remember when it went from black and white and color? It's sort of like an aha moment. When and
hmm
where were you when you said, I want to be a chef?
So it's funny because a lot of chefs say the same thing. It always dates back to their grandmother somehow, and it's a truth for me as well. So I was born 10 pounds 5 ounces. Okay, so I was just born ready to eat. So my love for flavor was just gigantic from birth. And there's some good cooks in my family. My grandparents always put together great meals on both sides of the family. And my father was always very spice driven and loved soups, and had excellent snacks and good things around the house all the time. And that obviously my mom has her traditional mom foods that she just made amazing. So with that being said, it really started from my eyes being bigger than my belly. I just really, really, really loved food.
But
So I'm sorry. It's a
no,
long
but
story.
yeah. But when, I mean, were you a teenager? You said, now I want to be a chef. I know there's a
So
love of
that's where I'm
food.
heading. That's where I'm heading with this right now. So then when I was 14 years old, I was dying to work. I wanted to earn my own income so bad. And I was in the work study in my high school. And at the time, the only people that really hired, teenagers were busboys in restaurants. And I was coming, at that point in my life, my parents had separated. And I remember walking into the kitchen at the Bowman on Harford Road. You know the Bowman?
Yes,
The Bowman restaurant? So I was a
yes.
busboy there when I was 14. And I remember, like, I walked into the kitchen and, there was like a motley crew of men there. There was, pretty waitresses and all these great things. And there was this man who was the chef, right? And when I met this chef, and I know he doesn't remember me by any means, but I remember him. And I just picture this man in my head when I talk about wanting to become a chef, and just the respect that he got from the motley crew in the kitchen, and the attractive people and the lawyers and doctors in the dining room and so on and so forth. And I thought, wow, like, how great is this? This guy gets to really, really be himself while doing a job he loves, and just really being able to stay true to his passion and things that he's about. And like, honestly, that was the moment. Since I was 14, I really knew I wanted to be a chef.
So when did you go from busboy to line cook?
So I traveled a lot as a busboy, believe it or not. So um, I was always like a paper chaser. I loved making money. I always wanted like the coolest shoes and things like that. So I was always really willing to work to get things that, my parents weren't willing to splurge on for me. So I ended up going from my neighborhood, which was where the Bowman was, to Timonium because I thought the tips were bigger with higher check averages. And I worked at Rothwell's Grill. From there, I was taken by a server to the Prime Rib my senior year in high school, where I was a busser there. And then when I was right out of high school, I decided I really wanted to get in the kitchen. So I dabbled in the kitchen at Rothwell's Grill and some other, jobs along the way. Like even the Prime Rib, they'd let us plate the desserts or do whatever we did in the kitchen as bussers. So I kind of always dabbled too, but I really got serious about food right after high school, right after high school. So 18.
Okay. So you went to BIC. For those who don't
Mm-hmm.
know what BIC is, the Baltimore International Culinary College.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
And you went from BIC. Now, I know you graduated. You didn't graduate as an executive chef. So what sort of path did you take? Because you ended up executive chef at the City Cafe. You were named Chef of the Year.
I feel bad. I have so much to say, but I went to community college 3 different times. I spent $9,000 3 different times, and I had 0 credits. I was the worst student ever in the world. Like I was really, really bad at just conventional education and learning. And even though I knew I wanted to be a chef, I was around the restaurant business where people would say, one day you got to get a real job or you have to do this or do that. So I never really quite understood that I could actually really go far and excel in the restaurant business because I was, you're a young guy, you hear real job and you feel like what you're doing kind of doesn't have value. So I was actually the sous chef at Bluestone and Timonium before I went to culinary school. So then while I was at culinary school, by the time I graduated culinary school, I was doing the menu development, research and development for Bluestone, Trapeze, and Nottingham's, which is 3 restaurants, that were all managed by one gentleman who just took special interest in me and saw my drive. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay. So I have a question for you. It's come in.
Mm-hmm.
With all your culinary experiences, what has been the most remarkable?
The most remarkable culinary experience? Oh, man. So, the most remarkable experience is just seeing the guests happy. It's really what it's all about. I'm super codependent. I'm only happy when everybody else is happy. So, just being able to see people smile through food, that's pretty much what it is. You're only as good as your last meal as a chef. And anytime I get a 5-star review, it's that remarkable experience.
That's great to hear. We met when I did the food service article for City Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that experience not only helped bring you to the forefront and show you
Mm-hmm.
to the Baltimore community, but didn't you meet your wife there?
No, I actually brought her there, believe it or not. I brought my wife to City Cafe. I met her at Trapeze, which is one of the Bluestone restaurants at the time.
Okay.
Yep. She was a server.
I'm given that little leeway. I was close. And
yeah,
I didn't
close.
need the
Absolutely.
I didn't need the cigar. The food market. It's 12 years now that I think since it's been open.
I think it's 10
Where did
years.
where did the concept for the restaurant germinate? Is there any 1 or 2 items right now that you can never take off the menu?
Oh, there's a lot of those things. So Food Market, from the very beginning, I thought that, in Baltimore, it's not the most boutique market. And I think that from a business standpoint, you really need to connect to the clientele. So my kind of in-house slogan is from grandmom to Gordon Ramsay. So everybody has to come and feel comfortable. So I just really wanted to deliver a product that was really, really understandable with a great high level of execution in a fun dining atmosphere, which I kind of felt like was a blanket to cover our whole community. Dishes to take off the menu, that would be a hard time. The problem now is that like almost all the menus are signature dish. It's not frustrating. It's a happy curse, but we ask at times on social media, what's our signature dish to you? and it's all over the place. Some people say mussel, some people say pork belly, some people say pretzels, pickles, short rib, crab cake, you know, steak frites. It's literally endless. The shrimp and grits, the bread pudding, the half-baked blondie, the smoky bowl, the papajante. I mean, it's like seriously, so it's all over the place.
I'm just trying to say, I wrote something down. There was a dish. Maybe I'll come to it. I'll come back to it. So nothing can come off the market, come off the food market menu. And
we do change it, you know, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things that they're hard to get rid of things. Like we'll take off spaghetti and crab meatballs and people will just rage. Make it for us, make it for us. We want it back. It's just one of those dishes.
And it's hard. It's so hard right now for any restaurateur to, number one, create a menu that is cost effective for their clientele and value added. Staffing, which was a problem before COVID, which is
absolutely,
you know, you, as I said earlier, you're involved with the Food Marketa, which is in Pikesville, which is, you have a love for Latin cuisine, so that sort of fills that niche for you.
Yep.
You just opened the second food market in Columbia. What was that like, trying to get a restaurant open during COVID?
Well, I also opened the hall during COVID, right before COVID. So we opened the hall, and then 2 months later, COVID happened. So it was literally instantly. That's a 12,000 square foot facility, and then plus another 13,000 feet outside. So it's a 25,000 square foot facility that opened, and 2 months later was COVID. So it was pretty. It's really truly unbelievable that we can even make it through these kind of things. And then, but opening Columbia. I think Columbia happened to be at the perfect time for COVID because the people stayed close to home during COVID, right? You know, you went to your neighborhood places to pick up carryout or so on and so forth, you know? And I think people were just mentally cooked from eating the same foods because the people of Columbia weren't driving to DC or going to Montgomery County or going to Catonsville or going to these other areas. So we were really, I feel that we were a breath of fresh air for the dining scene out there because people had eaten through all of the big corporate chain restaurants that are in Columbia and so on, dishes that they love. So they were kind of like burnt out from the food. So there was a benefit from that standpoint, being new after the community got tired.
Now, are you at the mall in Columbia?
No, we're not in the mall. No, we're across the street from the mall. So we're in between, we're considered center city, Columbia. So it's in between the new Merriweather district and the mall. So where the Sears used to stand, if you went out the front door of the Sears, you'd see a building that's in between us and Merriweather. So we're right across the street from Merriweather.
Oh, well, good location. Let me ask you, if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Be a plumber. Be a plumber. Everybody needs one, right? Nobody wants to do it. And there's a lot of money because it's always an emergency. That's my advice to myself.
I want to remind people all the connects to everything that Chad's involved with, the food market, the Food Marketa, Hoopla Catering. So we're going to talk about that. We talked about the Hall CP, which is out in College Park. And this summer, was this summer the first time for quality Snowballs?
I think it was our third summer. It was our third summer, believe it or not. Yeah, it's time's flown. 3 years.
It goes like that. So everybody, it'll float up, and you could, if you want to find the food market, which will link you to everything else, it's the-food-market.com, and you can link in, and that will be coming up. Let me ask you this, Chad. What is Slay the Menu?
So Slay the Menu is it's a concept that I came up with a friend that used to come into the restaurant all the time. And he said to me, we should go out to eat sometime. I was like, well, yeah, we should just go slay somebody's menu. Like I meant like order everything. That's kind of what I meant by it. And then we created Slay the Menu for the restaurant based off of just the slogan being fun. That means it's literally our version of a family style service in our private kitchen, which is just big, large plates of everything that's like our signature dishes. So it's endless courses. We say it's 5 courses, but we throw in courses while you're eating and just kind of keep the food going in a gluttonous fashion. A lot of good photogenic moments, a lot of leftovers, and just an experience that you to feel like, holy cow, what did I just go through?
We have another question. What are your most popular snowballs among your customers, and what's yours?
So the snowballs that are truly loved, they're a lot, like, believe it or not, the torch marshmallow is a huge hit in the snowballs. So it just takes a little bit of the edge of the sweetness off. So the half-baked blondie, super popular, the dirt cup, the pineapple upside down cake, the kitchen sink, the blueberry lemon cheesecake, watermelon basil lime, key lime pie, egg custard cream. I mean, I feel bad when I say this because I'm super humble, I promise you, but like they're all just bangers. They're really big hits. I mean, they really, really are. And then, but overall, food is mood to me, you know, so like I'm very sensitive to say whatever my favorite is or what I like the most or what I'm most interested in. But my go-to to constantly go back to, I mean, egg custard's a given in this town. It's hard not to get egg custard cream. It's just really, really good the way that we do it. But I'm like a sucker for the coconut cream pie. If you like coconut, you would love it. If you don't like coconut, you'll still love it. It's so good. Coconut cream pie. Trust me.
Years ago, well, not ancient years ago, when we had the International Association of Culinary Professionals here in town, I think it was 2005, and we did an opening event for 900 culinarians who came to Baltimore. And part of it was to show off Baltimore neighborhoods. And one of the items, traditional things, was a chocolate snowball with marshmallow icing. So that, we did cotties, and I think we had crab claws. And then, of course, there were stations for the different neighborhoods. But mine is that chocolate snowball with the marshmallow topping.
Yeah, I like chocolate with ice cream in it. That's one of my favorites too. Fried ice cream is another really popular one that we do as well.
Okay, well, so we know what your favorite is. Let me ask you, is there a food that you will not eat?
There's probably more foods that I don't eat than I actually feel like I can't even think that come to my mind. But you know, there's certain foods I love as ingredients, but I do not love as like main ingredients. Like for instance, I do not like anchovies on a pizza or on top of the Caesar salad, but I love Caesar dressing. Right? So like I'm not really a big fan of farm-raised salmon, but I don't mind smoked salmon. So it's just weird how I am with food. And once again, it always comes back to my mood, how I feel in the moment. I'm trying to avoid fried foods, I'll tell you that. I'm trying to avoid gluten. I feel like a potato. I'm trying to take better care of myself as I get older.
Well, you have a family to think of.
Absolutely,
you know.
definitely.
There was just something, I can't remember whether it was an Eater or a Thrillist, and somebody was saying that the restaurant scene is changing, where it used to be chef driven. That's who you knew in the restaurant. You knew the executive chef, and that it's because of COVID and all that's going on that restaurants are going to be more focused on the team that's at the restaurant. So front of house, back of house, and who's there. What are your thoughts on that?
I think without a team, you don't have anything. I mean, like that's our number one reason that we grow, because we have employees that can do our jobs as good as the person in the position, and we'd hate to lose them to the general public. I mean, the team is everything. I feel like my team is like we have a list. We're like, I mean, there's so many of us that are so important and vital to our business. There's so many of us. I mean, there's probably 25 of us that are, you know, that are like the core management group, and then, you know, down to the dishwasher. It's so important.
Do you get behind the line anymore?
All the time.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm in Columbia behind the line mostly now. It's so Hamden, I'm not on the line as much when I'm there, but it's very, very, very well established in the sense of who the chefs are, you know, that run the line, and the chefs that run the production. I can say orange, banana, grapefruit, venison, and potatoes, and my chef's like, "Are you looking for this?" You know, like we just know each other so well, you know.
That's
so
good.
I really, as I've grown, I find it to be important that to let people find ways to grow to their max as well, because if I'm constantly there taking them reins, then that stunts other people's growth, and that's not really fair to them.
You have a check-in, Norma Cohen. We love Chad and Wendy and the Food Market crew, Norma and Joe. They're sending their regards.
Joel, yeah. So
Joel.
Hi, good to hear from you. So Joel has been our artist since day one. Joel Cohen is our resident artist. He does all the art for Food Marketa and Columbia. From the very first day, I met him through purchasing a piece of art through Atwater's. That's where I met him originally, and he takes it amongst himself to bring the art to the restaurants, to change it, and to do everything on his own. So they're 100% his walls.
And
a great friend, and Norma's amazing, and we love the whole family. So
okay,
great people.
And I had mentioned before, and I did come up to New York, that you were invited to the James Beard House to do a special dinner showing off the cuisine of the Chesapeake. And it was you, it was Robin Huzz, it was Cyrus Kiefer, and I made the day trip. I spent the night, but I came up and I did enjoy the dinner. How was that? What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was a blast. It was so much fun. I've always been very community-based. Like once again, like very humbly speaking, I feel like when we first opened the food market, like that was like my goal, was to bring all the chefs together. And I think you remember our first birthday at the restaurant.
Yes,
people weren't even calling them birthdays. People weren't calling them birthdays. They were calling them anniversaries or whatever. We called them birthdays and made it fun. And we brought 10 different chefs in. Do you remember all the chefs that were there? And we just had like a blowout party.
I remember.
I love the community.
Yeah,
so Cyrus is part of the community.
Right. I took a picture. Denise Whiting brought a cake. It said "Happy Birthday, Hun." And I have used that for years on Facebook when it's somebody's birthday, and I post a picture and it says "Happy Birthday, Hun."
Oh, that's cool. Absolutely. Yeah. It was so much fun. I love getting the chefs together. I like the non-competitive nature. I mean, Robin and I got along so well. I mean, I miss him regularly. Every time I think of him, it's sad to me that he's not around anymore. But he's just one heck of a guy. He actually was a big part of putting that dinner together for us. Yeah. Just a really good guy, old school chef.
And Norman Van Aken and him had a connection, and Norman was on the show fairly recently, and we talked about Robin. And Baltimore was lucky to have him come here, and a great loss when he passed. Another question: what do you cook at home?
I think a hard question, believe it or not. So my wife is like super into her diet. She's keto. She's been doing it she's not even a diet, it's a lifestyle for her. She's been doing it for years. She's really, really into just vegetables and meats. And, we eat very organic at home. We eat very farm fresh products at home. We shop from 10 different grocery stores and markets to pick specific items. But at the same rate, we'll make funfetti cinnamon rolls and pasta from scratch. And, pot roast, chicken noodle soup, like all the good stuff that everyone else likes to have.
Are any of your children showing signs to being interested in preparing food?
Yeah, my son actually works at Food Market Columbia right now. He really loves the business. So we started him at the bottom and said to him, because your family, the expectation's higher, not lower. So he's in there learning from the bottom ropes of the whole business. My daughter Zoe, she'll be 13 next week. We taught her how to use a knife when she was a baby. I used to roll out Play-Doh and give her a plastic knife and have her cut, different shapes and sizes and so on. And she's really into food. She suggests what we're having for dinner and recipes and so on regularly, but she wants to be a heart doctor. So hopefully she's not a chef. But then all my kids are interested. We all do this. This is what we do.
That's great.
But I doubt they're going into business.
Okay, so is it 2 or 3 children?
3.
3. One popped in there since a ways back.
Yeah. So I have a 10-year-old as well. She loves food and she loves to cook as well.
All right. So we have the Food Market, the Food Marketa, Hoopla Catering, the Hall CP, Quality Snowballs. What's next?
So right now we're actually in the process of building our outdoor area in Columbia, which is going to be a different concept as well. So we have two 40-foot shipping containers outside, and we're going to do a bar and restaurant outside of the Columbia location. We have about 4,000 square feet that we're going to do another concept. It's going to be very seafood focused. It's going to be like vacation style food and fun, and like the bartenders will make like acai bowls and things like that during brunch, and then the kitchen will do like a lot of avocado toast and different types of fun things like that. And it's like vacation food.
Okay. Okay.
And then we're still looking for restaurants. We're constantly looking. It's just, it tends to be a tough market just to jump out there for everything that comes across.
I was just flashing back when I was putting the questions together. Weren't you on Guy Fieri's supermarket thing? Were you on at some food network?
I was on Kitchen Casino, which is that ran one time. I filmed the very first episode for them, even though it aired as the 4th episode, and I was the largest winner of the whole entire show as well, financially. I was the biggest winner of the whole show.
How much?
Claim to fame. 24,000 one day.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Woohoo.
definitely. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And let's see. I think I already asked you what food you disliked, so I'm going to sort of start wrapping up here. What was your most epic culinary fail?
Most epic culinary fail. One thing that comes to mind is I remember one time when I was at City Cafe, I had an idea for like a Thanksgiving dinner deconstructed, and it was like a duck confit based dish, and I was doing it with cranberry grits, and I remember like thinking like, this is disgusting. I tried way too hard on this, and like I can't stand it. That was probably my biggest fail, is that individual dish. But other than that, when I try to think super positive, so fail is not really in my vocabulary. It's just, what do we learn? Where do we go? Where do we grow? Right.
Great outlook. But it's always an interesting question at the end of the show.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, fail is just too tough for me.
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable.
And the last question is, what question didn't I ask you that I should have? What would you like people to know?
Well, I tend to talk a lot when I'm given a microphone. It's I guess long story short is I think that just as far as restaurants go and community goes, I think that we're seeing it all over the place, and even when your restaurant's doing great, it's still struggling in a different way, whether if it seems that way to you or not by people in the door. But be patient with your servers, show some respect, show some love, support restaurants, for carry out or whatever way you can during these hard times. It's still super uncertain for us, in the restaurant business. And on a regular basis, we kind of feel like we're waiting for the floor to fall out, through this whole 2 years of nonstop stress and change and direct spotlight of attention in a negative way, when all we want to do is just be hospitable. Right. So we're a welcoming committee that's turned into having gatekeepers protect us. So it's been a little uncomfortable.
Well, you can't go yet, because Dory Popkin chat said, what did we learn? How do we grow? Where do we go?
In life? Or what? Directly to restaurant?
Look,
Read it again? She's always challenging me, this lady here. So what did we learn? We learned that community is everything, and it always has been, but it's just been highlighted that community is the most important thing we have. What's the next one? Learn.
How do we grow?
How do we grow? We grow by continuously delivering what we sign up for, do everything we say we're going to do, and just show our highest level of respect for one another. And what's the last one?
She was saying, she put in a note, she was just quoting you.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I thought she was asking me. I was like, that is a quote of mine. Absolutely.
Okay, definitely. All right. So I think we've covered it. We had a nice little chat before we went on air. And just ending note, I think that the interest on that $5 is really amazing.
Absolutely. Did I ever pay you back? I hope I did.
I have no idea.
It's not, I owe you the world. Absolutely. Definitely. Wow. My only outstanding debt. Good thing you're not the credit reporter. So
No, we all talked about that. Chad got into a position when we were at Cirque du Soleil. I was with my late husband, and Chad ends up in the same row. And he tells a story that the parking they had there was cash only, and he didn't have any cash, so I gave him $5. This goes back, what? You were still
mm,
at City Cafe,
mm,
so 12,
yep.
13 years ago.
Hmm. I
Easily,
think that's why we
easily.
were there, because I was given the tickets, and you were, like for the support of the show, right? It was
Right,
we were in the same kind of row. And then
right.
on top of it, I love your husband to death. He's such a great guy. Him and I had a great relationship. I think you know that as well. Tom and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed seeing each other for sure.
Yeah, always had the camera. The camera was
Absolutely, that's the
always
truth.
there. Right.
Absolutely, and he liked risotto crusted mozzarella. I remember what he liked to eat. I know what he likes to eat as well. So
Yeah, he did like to
yep,
eat.
yep,
So moths, many
you too.
moths, and hope to
Absolutely.
see you in person sometime soon. Continued success, growth, and good health to you and yours and your team. And
Well,
thank you
thank
for
you.
being out there for people.
Absolutely. If anybody needs anything, reach out to us. We're here. We love community commitment. We love the support. We love the cater. We love the feed, and we love to see you guys happy. So thank you.
Terrific. And I'm just going to wrap up right now. Next week, we will be having Bryce Taylor on, Chef Bryce Taylor. We had to bump him last week, unfortunately, so he's going to be back on. He is somebody who, in his youth, who was on Chopped Junior, took his visibility and became involved in the local food community here in Baltimore. And he actually worked for McCormick as a high school student, creating and showing off menus for teens that they can fix, and many more things. So he's he's in Frostburg State College. We look forward to having him, and proud to say that I taught him how to make matzo balls. And as we wrap up, if you need to reach me, you can reach me at food@jmoreliving.com. My social is at Dara Cooks. Feel free to share the show with friends and family. We love it when you share. It helps the show grow. We appreciate you tuning in on a weekly basis. And as always, may your plates remain full. And we thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.